emotional issue. And if you raise really important philosophical questions that attend the same-sex marriage question, you immediately, at least from my side, have to defend yourself against being a bigot. You just clearly must hate gays. Actually, no, I don't. But there's more than one good here. I think that this can be seen as a clash of rival goods: religious liberty versus gay civil rights. And I think it's a complex question. It's not an open and shut case. And as long as we are unable to, our society, unable to discuss it civilly, with mutual respect, we're never going to get anywhere. It just becomes a matter of power politics.
Right. And high emotions. I don't know if you've seen any of the prolegomena posts that I put up, but I did one about emotion, and I don't know, did you watch Keith Olbermann did one of his monologues, very emotional, and very powerful. You wouldn't agree with it, but I mean, he was basically saying love trumps your ideologies. But what I wrote in there was, I think there will surely be emotion in the comment section of our blogs. But the funny thing about the emotion for me is, I'm straight. I'm not, so it's not that emotional for me, and yet I can't be totally forensic in my arguments or in my dialogue with you. I can't remove myself from the fact that this affects people I know, as I'm sure you feel the same way.
Sure. Well, I think for me, and this is maybe something true for our generation, we've known gay people. My oldest friend in the world is gay. I went to school with gay people. I've had gay roommates. I'm not freaked out by gay people. I enjoy the company of gay people, not because they're gay, but just because they're good people. And this is not something that there's no ick factor there, as it is with some older people.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, there are important philosophical issues here, and important spiritual issues.
Yeah, for sure.
Certainly from where I come from as a Christian, and where I come from as a social conservative who was concerned about the way we're going in our society with the loss of the traditional understanding of marriage. But I think that any sort of fruitful dialogue can only go forward on a basis of respect, mutual respect. And I wrote a piece for Culture 11 talking about how I know gay people. I've been blessed by their friendship. And maybe because they know me, they don't understand why I believe the way I do, but they know I'm not a bad guy. They know I don't hate them.
Yeah. And neither am I going to deny the fact that where I've come to on my opinion on this issue is affected not purely by the philosophical and theological arguments, but also by attending to the movements of my own spirit and trying to pay attention to how I think and listening to gay people, gay Christians talk about how they live their lives in such a way that in their estimation they're in accord with a biblical Christianity. And so I want to give the philosophical its due, but for me I'm also going to have to attend to the existential for me, because I know that's been a part of what I've come to. And how I ended my post last night was saying, kind of writing about this narrative of how I heard for the first time what it meant to be gay, and then the friends I've had, and who I found out later were gay. One friend I found out was gay after he died of AIDS, and then I wrote the last line was something like, well, now all my critics are going to say, see, that's what liberals do, right? They let emotion trump reason, something like that. But I don't know that we can extricate ourselves from the emotion that is part of this conversation.
I think you're right about that, and that's one thing that helps define my conservatism. Conservatism is not, in Christianity, is not a set of rules and a set, an ideological scheme. It has to do with human nature and humanity and life as it's lived. That's not to say that there's no such thing as rules or no such thing as principles or permanent things. There are, and we have to, I believe, organize our lives and live our lives in accordance with them. But at the same time, there's no scheme There's no scheme that can reduce the human person to just a set of beliefs. You know, there is lived experience, and it has to be accounted for. And that, for me, is why I, on my own side, I get frustrated with people who say, well, they just choose to be that way. You know, why don't they just choose to live otherwise? You can't say that if you know gay people. You know, and
Right.
and I would like to try to find some kind of compromise where we can all have to give a little bit, but we can live together in harmony. But I have to tell you, I really doubt that's going to be possible.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. You can probably stop that.
I did, yeah.
I'm going to say your glasses repeated, but
All three of us, we should just take.
Yeah, we should.